All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Anatoleu, and I'm here with Toorima, and we are going to be doing a race of Final Fantasy Legend 2 for you today for Questing for Glory.
Oh, hi, hello there.
Let me get into the intro screen here. And if you're ready, Toorima, I think we can probably just kind of kick it off.
Yeah, I guess real quick, so I'm letting chat decide my party, so
Oh yeah, that's right. Go ahead.
I will definitely be having the third position as a robot and the fourth position. Oh, third position as monster and the fourth position as a robot. But the first and second position, you guys can choose either a female human or a female mutant, and I will pick either one for both spots.
Yeah. So humans and mutants, whichever chat likes more.
Yeah, whichever way they want to try to help out.
I'm gonna do one of each. So.
Okay. I'll give it a couple seconds, and then if you guys also want to throw out 4-letter names, we can always have fun naming things as well. All right, I'm seeing lots of mutants. I'm gonna double mutants, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of mutant fans, which is correct. Mutant is the most fun class out of everybody.
All right, I guess I'm ready whenever you are.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, I'll do the countdown. We'll get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. We'll just go with the QFG.
Agreed.
Mutant and ants.
Mute and ants, I like it.
Yeah, pretty good.
The usual RB appeared in there as well.
Yep, y'all ready to go look for Dad?
Let's go. Well, of course we get to look for Dad. We get to find random spheres and save the world with a robot, right?
Yeah, that's right. I love collecting spheres and just hanging out with my killer robot.
So I am playing the Steam version of this game, so I could actually cheat if I really wanted to and go 2 times speed, because they added that as a function. So if I get real far behind, I guess I can always do that. Mute, ants, what else we got? I guess we'll go RB.
Yeah, I'm saying Robo for my last one. Mute, ants, Robo.
I'm not used to having to put names in here.
I know, you don't usually, usually we just do one character names to speed things along, but it doesn't make a big difference at all. And it's kind of helpful to keep track of what's actually happening in battle.
Yeah, agreed. So, since I am playing the updated version that was re-released, some of my enemies are gonna have different names, some of the weapons are gonna have different names, and they updated a couple things to keep it up. So, like, I know I have my first gun is the pistol actually, and I believe yours is still the Colt, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I'm playing on the original Game Boy cart here, and it's kind of cool that we get to kind of show off the side-by-side of the re-release, which really only has, yeah, some changes to some item and enemy names. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, correct.
And then in battle, instead of yours, I think yours says DMG for damage, and mine says damages.
Yes, that is correct.
Which is pretty good.
So this game doesn't work kind of like other Final Fantasy games because, well, I guess the closest it would be Final Fantasy 2. So humans and mutants gain stats based off of items they use in battle. So if it's a strength weapon, they have a chance to gain a strength stat, agility, magic, etc. But with monsters, they gain stats based off of what meat they eat. So if they eat meat, they have a chance to turn into something.
Mm-hmm.
And then the robots gain stats based off of what they equip. So if you put strength equipment on it, they'll have higher strength. If you have agility-based equipment, they'll have higher agility, and etc. So we will be using that to our advantage during this run for sure.
Yeah, we absolutely will. It's kind of the thing that gets us through most of the run. Not quite all of it. We do some other stuff too, but the putting agility weapons in particular on the robot is just really overpowered in this game.
Yeah, because agility affects everything. If you can run from battle, your accuracy, your turn order. So having a super damaging thing that rarely misses. I don't want to say never already.
Yeah, let's
but
not
rarely
say that.
misses. Definitely helps for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that just from that one item type, you sort of get everything. You get HP on your robot, you get speed in battle, and you get damage. So you don't really need to equip any other kind of weapon.
So even though this is a race, there's going to be certain points that are just going to be pretty rough for both of us. This whole first world, especially when we have Mr. S, it's really hard to run from battles because we have a 5th party member. And then about, 7 or 8 minutes in, we'll get another party member, Key, which also makes it very hard to run from battles. So the amount of can't runs is, you're going to see the big difference between where we are is how many can't runs we get.
Yeah, that's for the first 2 worlds basically. That tends to be like the big difference maker. It's just like how many times did you fail to run?
And since I'm playing with 2 mutants, I am even more of a disadvantage. So the mutants have 1 less agility than the humans, and they also start with a bow instead of a rapier. So right now you have 4 more agility as a party than I do.
Right.
So you ideally will be running more than I will be.
Yeah, it's a slight advantage. I still got plenty of can't runs with Mr. S, so
Yeah.
But that's very normal. And it didn't get the baby worm meat, so I don't have a monster with higher agility right now.
Either did I. I don't know if I would. I guess I would have taken it. Why not?
Yeah, I like to take it. It's like usually I think on average it saves you a little time, but it introduces more RNG later, of course. So the thing about that meat drop is it's like a 25% that you might get it from that first boss, and if you eat it, the monster in your party becomes a quite a bit better monster, and it has a higher agility stat, so you will fail to run less often, especially toward the beginning of the game here. But then to make up for that later, you need another 25% meat drop off a monster, and sometimes you get it like immediately, and sometimes you can lose 2 minutes to it, so.
Okay, so I'm in the menu, I'm equipping Magi. So the Magi is like the MacGuffin of the game, except it actually does something. When you actually equip it on your characters, it actually has... Is it just like a hidden stat boost, I believe?
Yeah, I think so.
So we put the agility Magi on the robot to, again, make it faster. And then we put the mana one on the monster for pretty much towards the middle of the game. Just because we're in the menu, we might as well do it then.
Yeah, it'll increase the magic power of the monster, and that's going to be helpful once it becomes a Watcher, which is kind of an eye monster. It'll help it with doing a little bit more damage with a magic-based attack called Beam, and it'll also help it use its Stone Gaze ability to turn a couple boss fights to stone with a little bit more likelihood.
Yeah, so even if the race looks close, or even if it looks really far apart at certain points, there's a ton of RNG in the second half of the game that it doesn't really matter. There's a couple bosses that we can try to turn into stone. So if we turn them into stone, awesome. But sometimes it takes multiple rounds. Sometimes you don't turn it into stone.
Yeah, sometimes you take off all of Vormek's 10,000 HP before he ever turns to stone.
Yeah. And then also the last boss, can just decide to kill you if you want. Like, there's nothing you can do, so it's always fun.
Yep. Yeah.
And then since we didn't get the meat drop earlier, we only did one meat drop during this run. But it's a fixed fight, which is nice, but it depends on how many of that monster appear and if you even get the meat drop or not. So, lots of RNG in this game.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's as soon as we get kind of past Ashura, we're gonna enter like a, I don't know, 15 minutes or so part of the run where there's very little RNG, and then after that, you just kind of there's a whole bunch from then on. Like, you can sort of lose time anywhere after that.
Yeah. So in this dungeon we're here, it's Ashura's base. This is one of the, there's two, because I used to say this is the only spot, but there's two spots in the game where if you talk to the enemies, you actually get into fights. So if we accidentally run into these dancing zombies or talk to them, we'll just get into a fight instantly.
Yeah, you really want to try to avoid them, but sometimes they just walk right in front of you and you couldn't see it coming.
Yeah, sometimes you can clip through them if you like walk on the tile at the same time.
Oh yeah, that's always nice.
Yeah.
But probably not something to try for.
I saw someone say earlier about do the like the glitches and everything work in the Steam and Switch version. Yeah, I know for the Steam version for sure it does. I've done the poison glitch on here to overload everything and have all of your characters be overpowered in the first world, so I don't really think they did much. I think they more or less ported it over from Game Boy and just made some name changes.
Yeah, it feels like that's all they did. It feels otherwise very identical.
Agreed. So this is another mini boss. It's a rhino. I missed with my robot because I said I wouldn't earlier, so I had to do one extra attack.
Yep. I'm busy failing to run from everything in here, so...
Perfect.
Yeah, you're
So
good.
I guess the story of the game, if anyone actually wants to know, is your dad jumps out the window when you're a child, and then you decide when you're older you want to look for him. And Mr. S gives you a magi, and that magi, the first time you play it, it's called Prism. So you can use it to see how much magi are in each world. And the way the game makes it that you have to get the magi is if you try to go to the next world without enough magi, the door stops you. So instead of an invisible plot wall, it's a legitimate plot wall. Like, you have to have enough magi. So we are on an adventure to try to find our dad, and while we are doing so, we are collecting magi along the way.
Yeah, the game is very linear because of that. You'll just literally be not allowed to leave the area until you have the number of magi that you can have.
Yeah. In this second world, it's a giant desert, and if you don't know how to walk through the desert, it just kind of all looks very samey. So I know as a kid for sure I definitely would get lost in it, so I would just walk around the outside of the map.
That's exactly what I would do too. Yeah, you can go all the way, like circumvent the world, and you can stay out of the sandstorm, but
Yeah, because if you walk on certain areas in the sandstorm, it'll just start like pushing you around and everything. So if you don't know where you're going, you can just easily get lost or stuck in it.
yeah, fortunately if you know where to go in it, it's pretty straightforward.
So in this world, I still will probably get can't runs because I'm running with 2 mutants. So with that, just that little bit of less agility, there's a higher chance to get can't runs still when I get the party member here.
Yeah, some of the downside to having mutants is that you, especially in the very beginning of the game here, do fail to run a little bit more often. The upside is we have the chance to learn some pretty helpful abilities, but it's very high RNG whether we get anything that's useful in the run or not.
Yeah, agreed. But the nice thing is we do get a new weapon in this dungeon that we can use on our robot. So he will be killing things instantly again, which is nice. And we also get, I just got our 5th party member that looks a lot like Dad, but his name is Mask.
Yeah. So he's not Dad, right?
He is not Dad. But I believe if you do play the DS version, which was only out in Japan, that it actually is not Dad. Is that correct?
I don't remember. I like to think he's Dad, but honestly,
I like to think he's Dad too. But I like to also believe that he is a father of a certain character we meet later in the game.
Yeah. Oh, Lynn's Dad. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I like to think.
Yeah, it's just very suspicious that he leaves your party and then will meet Dad very soon after. It's like, okay.
Yeah, agreed. But a lot of the treasure we pick up in most dungeons in this game is just to sell to buy equipment for mostly our robot, and then a couple things for a couple other characters.
Yeah, it's pretty nice how much equipment the game kind of puts along your path here. You very rarely have to go out of your way at all to get some pretty nice stuff.
Okay, so this is the first like real boss of the game. This is Ashura. The game, since it's like the first real boss, gives you Mask to help. So Mask is really stinking overpowered. He's using a hammer, which is one of the worst weapons in the game, and he's doing over 100 damage with it because his stats are just so high. So you more or less just hold A in this fight, let him hit him with the hammer, let your robot hit it with the saber, and then whatever Ashura does. And you just hope he doesn't hit Mask with 6 arms and kill him right away.
Yeah, pretty much. Our robot is also very strong in this fight too, which is good, so the robot can usually handle it as long as it doesn't get targeted.
Actually got a good item, or a good ability. I got warning off of it, so that's good.
Oh man, getting warning this early is so nice.
So with warning, I can now no longer be surprise attacked in this game. So I have to actually see who is on and make sure it's not at the bottom. It's not.
Yeah.
So the way the mutants work is every character has 8 ability slots. The mutants can learn up to 4 abilities while you're playing the game. But whatever the bottom ability is, once you have 4, if you learn a new ability, it replaces the bottom ability. So you have to make sure you want whatever ability you don't want, you put at the bottom.
Yep. Warning is probably the nicest one to get this early in the game. It will be really handy a few worlds from now. Venus's world and the Dragon Race world. There are just a lot of monsters that have the surprise ability, which means they could back attack you, but warning essentially nullifies that.
I have been warned. So, but I know I talked over it, but the boss music is very good in this game. Actually, all the music's pretty good in this game, especially for a Game Boy game. It went above and beyond, in my opinion.
Yeah, totally. A lot of people talk about how when they listen to this game, it reminds them of Pokemon, and it's like, yeah, Pokemon took a lot of inspiration from this game, and definitely part of that is the soundtrack, just how to make a good Game Boy RPG soundtrack. But this is a really cool soundtrack because about half of it is Uematsu and half of it is Kenji Ito's first video game soundtrack that he worked on, who later went on to do a lot of the Saga soundtracks and the Mana game soundtracks. So it's a pretty special game.
So this is World 3, it's Giant's World, and we found our dad here, and he's like, hey, I haven't seen you in so long. Oh, you're collecting Magi too? Well, here you go. No one will ever think kids have these. And then he just runs away again.
You've been gone all these years and you found one piece of Magi, Dad? Come on.
Yeah. So he runs away again.
Go figure.
And then, yeah, so as you mentioned, this is actually not a Final Fantasy game. This is a Saga game. They renamed them Final Fantasies when they released them in the US, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. It was just
marketing thing.
Saga 2 Legend of something in Japan.
So after you talk to Dad, you end up talking to the owner of the one store that sells Giants equipment, so you can find out how to acquire it. And he tells you that, go talk to Johnny. So Johnny tells us how to get into the Giants area to shrink down, pretty much.
Yep. And of course, we do think he's a giant.
I definitely thought he was a giant.
Yeah.
He told me I was wrong, though.
He says it's not true. I don't believe him. Maybe if he had less to say, if I did believe him, then I would believe him, but he's got a lot to say if you say that you don't think he's a giant, he'll tell you that you can go under the furniture in Giantstown. Gives you a hint.
Oh yeah, he does. He goes on a big rant about it.
Yeah.
So if you go try to talk to that pygmy, the discolored, I guess pixel to get into the Giants section of Giants World, the game just won't let you. It says something about it just looks peculiar or something like that, I believe.
Yeah.
So this is the first time the game is you have to talk to this person before you move on.
It's pretty similar with Key in that first world. You can't go onto the
Oh, that's right.
the ancient ruins or the relic of the ancient
The relics of the ancient gods, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a normal forest tile until you talk to Key.
And then we have to go into the bottom house first because it has magi in it. If we try to go in the top house first, they would say that we can't enter it because we don't have enough magi.
Yeah, this is the clearest example of just how linear this game is and how it forces you. You have to go into that giant house before you can go into this giant house.
Yeah. So once we get the eyeball medicine, the Micron, we can go back to Key's body and go take a nap.
Yeah.
That's the part that would always put me to sleep when I would speedrun this consistently.
Definitely. This is we're kind of right now in the section of the game that has the least RNG. There's these random encounters, we could run from every single one of them. And we're just going around collecting stuff, hitting story triggers. It's not really much that can go wrong here, not a lot that can go especially right. Oops.
Yeah, the worst thing we could do is sell the Micron, so now that I've said that, I'm really hoping I don't do it.
Yeah. I've never sold the Micron, but sometimes I accidentally buy the Thunderbook instead of the SMG.
Okay. Yeah, you're not a true runner of this game until you accidentally sell the Micron or accidentally buy the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And it's usually when you're on a decent pace too.
Right. But yeah, the shopping menus are probably maybe one of the biggest places where the run can really go wrong. And the D-pad inputs move pretty fast in this game, so sometimes you gotta be careful.
That was a pretty good one. I felt pretty good at that time. So yeah, we sell everything except the Micron, and then we buy an SMG to put on the robot to one-shot the mini-boss that's coming up. Alright, so in here we are entering Key's body, and so this is an exact replica of the human body. And so we have to get all of the magi out of Key's body, because when Ashura was giving us a speech before we killed him, he said that he sent people here and shrunk them down to go into Key's body to steal her magi.
Yeah, my personal favorite part of the inside of Key's body is the intestines.
Yeah, so this, you better get used to this music, because we're in this part for, I don't know, it feels forever.
Yes,
but
7 minutes
the music,
or so?
Yeah, the music just kind of goes, the body's wavy. So we have to get 2 magi, or 1 out of each hand, 1 out of each foot. Heart, I guess that's the stomach after the intestines, what it goes into.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to get those ones first before you can go in the brain, because if you don't, have enough to go into her brain, it says you don't have enough, so... And then you do the brain last.
Yeah, the brain's got a bunch of wrinkles you have to walk through. It's pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, if there's any nurses or doctors in the in chat, you can definitely tell perfect diagram of the body. This is what your human body looks like. So if you need to study for tests or anything, it's right here for you.
I always like to think that between this dungeon and then when we have to walk through the sewers in Venus's world, the party just smells really bad by the time we're getting much further along.
Well, so I always like to imagine that when we go through a volcano later, that to survive it, since everyone's like super low leveled except the robot at that time, that we're all just like sitting on it like it's a Roomba and we're just riding along through it. But yeah, so like this part is pretty boring in any category of this game, because you have to go through it. There's not even the fast way when you can break the game and have teleport, it doesn't make it that much faster still.
Yeah, there's just not much you can do with this dungeon. It is just a big spread out dungeon. You gotta collect the items.
Yeah, and the battle system in this game it's like a set table of, it's like 256 steps, or I'm not sure the exact number, 255 or 256. So you'll notice a pattern as we're going. You'll have a section that you have like 50 steps and there's no battles, and then you'll have a section of like 3 battles and 4 steps, and it's always the same pattern. It's just depends on where you are on the little pattern.
Right, yeah, you definitely come to recognize it when you run the game a few times.
I guess the only nice thing about Key's body is the Magi are always in the same toes and the same fingers, so you don't have to guess, because that would be terrible.
Yeah, that'd be pretty rough. Fortunately, we always know exactly where they are. But yeah,
everyone does this differently too. Some people might start with like their both like I do both arms first, and then the left side, then the right side. I know some people do like left arm, and then the left side, then the right side, then the right arm.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I think it's nice to kind of just do the same thing every time, just so you don't get like, which one did I just do? Where am I?
I've done that before. I thought I broke my order one time, and I thought I got I skipped one foot, and I went to the brain. It was like, yep, you don't have enough Magi. I was like, oh.
Oh man, all the way back to the foot too.
Yeah, I just reset.
Makes sense.
Oh yeah, so one of the monsters you see that I don't have Key doesn't have terrorists in her body for me. I can't remember. I just saw it. I don't remember what they're called. Partisans.
Yeah, that's one of the things they changed in the new re-release.
There's a couple. There's not too many that changed, but there's a couple that changed. I know the terrorist name at the end is also changed.
Yeah, I like to try to identify which ones are naturally in Key's body and which ones are Ashura's men. Like, a lot of them are pretty clear, but I'm not too sure about the rocks.
I mean, she could have rocks in her body, I guess. I assume the terrorists are not naturally in her body.
Yeah, the terrorists, the Oni, probably not. The goblin creature.
Yeah, probably not. The robot could be in her body. Maybe it's from the future protecting her. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Alright, so now that I got all the Magi, I have to march my way all the way back up to her brain. And then there, we will fight a mini-boss that we will be able to one-shot with the SMG we bought. I guess since we're doing a race and a marathon, I'll save in front of it, because for some reason the turn order can just be really not make sense in this game sometimes.
Yeah.
So even if our robot has the highest agility, sometimes it's like almost, I don't know how it works. It's like it's too fast and it goes last instead.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's that or if it's just a really wide range of randomness surrounding that.
But for this battle, I want to say like 99% of the time, you don't even have to worry about it. But I feel like it only happens when you're at max agility. But why not save?
Yeah, I've definitely got a couple safety saves built in here. It is a marathon.
It is. So with this fight, you can fight, is it 4 to 8 of them?
Yeah, that's the range. And you like to see more because you get more money.
Correct. And then after we defeat that, we take the Magi out of her body and we ruin her life. She can't heal people anymore.
Yep, but we just turn our back on her and walk straight out of there. We're never
we don't even
talking
talk to her. We're just like, later.
See you, Key.
Thanks for the Magi. I guess this next world, I've never actually thought about it, but you technically could probably do the top cave first if you really wanted to, but I've only ever seen anyone do bottom, middle, top.
It's a few more steps to do it the other way, which is basically the why we do it the way we do. But
okay,
yeah, I mean, it would be such a small difference, but
yeah. Well, I guess in this world we'll find out if either of us are gonna have huge time saves or not.
Yeah, what's nice for you is this is the first world where we can get ambushed, but it's not gonna happen to you.
This is true. Only in one cave though, so thankfully.
Yeah, there's just the saber cat monster in the Cave of Light that has the surprise ability.
So is this world considered Apollo's world?
Yeah, that's what I call it.
Okay. So here we meet a definitely not a bad person.
He seems pretty nice. He gave us some magi.
He did, and he's twice as big, so he's definitely a nice guy.
I like how tall he is. The wind blows through his hair, even though we're inside.
Yeah. But he gives us a big old clue on where there's a bunch of magi in his world. And when I first started running, I would always accidentally talk to him twice, and
it's so easy to do.
He's such a long speech. It's just like, oh my gosh, please stop talking.
Yeah, that's one of those text boxes you really try to make sure you're closing out with the directional pad instead of the A button.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a few of those in this game.
There's 3 dungeons, like we said, that have magi in here. The main way that I assume everyone goes is to go to the underwater volcano to get the magi first. And you get to listen to this beautiful music again that we haven't heard in so long.
Yeah, it's too bad that the 2 dungeons that use this are the 2 like back-to-back underwater dungeons, basically.
Yeah.
But after this, we get to hear the disco dungeon theme again.
Yeah, I guess just a heads up, there is flashing lights kind of and a moving floor in the next dungeon if anyone is bothered by that.
Yeah, it can be a little hard to watch, especially when it's big like this. It's one of those things that worked pretty good on a small Game Boy screen, and then when it's on what we're watching these on today, it can be a little unnerving.
Especially with 2 of them back to back or side by side, probably.
Yeah, probably.
So most of these items we're picking up. Actually, I think we're gonna sell all of these items. The reason we have or we can't do the disco dungeon first is we have to get the true eye magi, which we just got to make sure we can see in there.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't really let you enter the dungeon without the true eye. Even if you were to memorize the layout or something, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it gives you some weird speech about how you can't see past this area or something like that.
Yep.
Did you do this sideways walk out of the underwater?
Oh yeah, of course. You have to.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, you gotta slide up out of the ocean.
Yeah. So in the disco dungeon, you can, if you run into a saber cat, I don't know the percentage, but there's a chance that they could surprise attack you. But since I got warning off of Ashura, I cannot get surprise attacked.
Yeah, I feel like it happens maybe like a third of the time that I run the game I get a surprise attack in here. It's not like super common.
Yeah, well, you know, I've thought about it when I've been running this game, and it's, I guess, like the safest surprise attack you can get. Because I think all the eyeball can do is gaze you, the big eye. And I think the Medusa can't, I don't think they even have stone gaze at that level, and if they do, their magic is low enough. So it's like, you know, you don't have that fear of actually dying here.
Yeah, I've never wiped to it. It just kind of slows you down for a minute. There are definitely worse ones that can happen later. I think the surprise attacks you get in the dragon race are probably the worst ones.
Yeah, those are pretty bad.
And there's 2 different monsters there that both have it, and so it happens a lot.
Alright, so here we get a laser sword that we also equip on our robot because it's agility based, and we need him to go first and go fast, and
yeah, it's actually a really nice upgrade too from what we had before.
Yeah, I usually just replace the SMG with it.
Yeah, because then you can just hold A in the next fight. Your memory cursor is already in the right spot. It's nice. The SMG is like the only non-agility weapon we ever put on the robot.
Just for that one fight.
Yeah.
So when I run 2 mutants, it's weird for me because I usually pick up the extra bow then. So then doing the equip screen after Donatus is usually weird for me because I have to figure out like what I'm replacing, and
you have an extra item already equipped. Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, so this is the last area in this dungeon. You find 3 more magi here, and then we leave and go to the North Dungeon, I think is what it's called, or something, or Cave of Wind or something like that.
Yeah, there's actually kind of a cool thing going on in this world where you visit that town in the south, which we didn't go into. And everyone's talking about Neptune, who's like this underwater god, and he's doing stuff. But then you go down there, and it's just a volcano. There's nobody named Neptune. And there's like a very similar thing going on in the North Town, where people talk about Dunatis in this North Cave, but he's real. We have to fight him.
And there's 2 entrances. The bottom one is just like 2 rooms to the dungeon, and there's a treasure chest. So obviously we're not going to go on that side because it's way too slow to get a treasure then back all the way out, so...
Yeah, we would never go that far out of our way for a treasure in this particular speedrun. The most we'll go is like maybe like 20 steps.
But we also will find the worst NPC of the game in this dungeon, though.
Oh, we sure will. Yeah, at the end of this dungeon, on the other side of a slide, so you can't go back out, is Lynn. And we have to take like, I don't know, 15 steps or something with Lynn in the party, and like if we run into a fight...
It feels like forever.
Yeah, if we get in a fight, we're probably gonna fail to run. It's just like, she's just so slow relative to the monsters here.
Yeah, Lynn has like awful stats, no HP, and like you saw earlier how Mask was using a hammer and doing like 123 damage, and you know was able to do stuff. He had 321 HP. Lynn has, I think, does she have 90 HP?
Yeah, she just doesn't have much at all going on.
Yeah, so there's actually a story why she's here. Is she was trying to find a potion, and she also fell down the slide, and she can't get back out.
Right.
So she's just kind of stuck down here. But I know as a kid, for sure, I definitely got stuck down here at one point because I also hit the slide and
was no way out.
Not prepared. Yeah, I wasn't prepared. So if you try to like climb up the slide, it just like pushes you back. Alright, got Lynn.
Ooh, I successfully ran from my one fight. That's lucky.
I did not get in a fight.
Also lucky.
I also didn't save, so hopefully he doesn't attack my robot.
I acquired Hypnos, not Teleport.
All right, let's see if I get something. I got charm.
Charm. Well, there you go.
So the reason that he is the Donatus is well known is your mutants can learn any. He's flagged as an enemy, like end game enemy, so you can learn any ability from him. So you can learn end game stuff, or like someone was saying in chat, if you learn teleport there, then all of a sudden you're saving like 8 minutes or something. I don't know the exact number. It might be 6 minutes.
It's a lot, though, yeah. It's huge. The future world record is gonna get teleport from Dunatis and save a bunch of time. But yeah, it's pretty interesting that, but it's pretty low likelihood to learn it there because like, since he is flagged as that endgame enemy, it means your mutant could potentially learn any ability in the game, and there are a lot of them.
Yeah, and or like what happened for me, one mutant learned charm and the other one gained HP.
Yeah,
so
sometimes you just gain HP, sometimes nothing. Like,
yeah.
So it's pretty low likelihood, and there are 32 different abilities. So even if you learn an ability, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, so I know for a couple months I was pushing the teleport grind, and you know, I could get to it consistently to Donatus, but I could also wanted to get there with a decent time, so it was just a lot of resetting at that point.
Yep. Yeah, that's a rough grind, like half an hour into the run, going for like a, I don't know, maybe 1 in 80 chance or something like that. It's not easy.
Agreed. Oh yeah, so after we saved Lynn, we found out that that Dad was hanging out with Lynn and his mom, or her mom, and we're just like, what the heck is Dad doing here? And then we're like, whatever. And then we just like, we'll just keep finding Magi.
Yeah, we've got better things to do.
Yeah, that guy just keeps running away from us anyways. And then, I don't know what you bought. I bought 2 headbutts and a laser sword.
Yeah, that's what I had to. I haven't gotten any good drops or anything, so...
I haven't either. But sometimes if you get drops, or if you have enough, you can get, like... I tried to route in to get 4 headbutts, because they sell for more afterwards, but, it just didn't work out, usually.
Yeah, usually this is what you end up getting, just because it makes the most sense for the money you have right now, but...
And then every now and then you'll have low money if you run into like just 4 of the monsters in key, so you might only be able to get 3 headbutts.
Yeah, the nice thing about this boss rush we're doing here in Guardian World is each one of these monsters does have a chance to drop some valuable items, so sometimes you come out of it with some stuff that helps kind of pad your gold routing for the rest of the game.
Yeah, if you get super lucky, you can have enough to actually buy a laser gun in Edo, which I've done before, which is nice. It's
really good. Yeah, I got a cure book drop from the Magician, so that helps. It's definitely a little bit extra money. But we've got backup items we can pick up if we need to.
I got a fire book and my other mutant learn warning.
Oh, great. 2 warnings is better than 1, right?
Yeah. I'm extra warned now. Oh yeah, so from this point on, I guess we can get surprise attacked, correct?
Yeah, so they're, right. We could have gotten surprise attacked by that commando at the very end there. This next ninja can ambush us, and then there's just like a ton of monsters in the next couple worlds who can ambush us.
So yeah, this is the world for the Guardians world. So you find out your dad is a Guardian, and they're to protect the Magi from people from getting the Magi. So we play music on the jukebox, and it opens up a secret lair to their base. We go in there. Dad's like, "Hey, I haven't seen you in so long. You should go to bed." So we go to bed, and the monster base gets attacked. And then so we fight our way out, fighting all these mini bosses, and find Dad on the way. And then now we fight a commander leaving. He tells us that they took Lynn to the next world, so we go to the next world to try to save Lynn again.
Always saving Lynn.
Yeah. And the next world, when you save Lynn, is actually called Ambush World, I believe.
Yeah, Ninja Ambush World or something like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't really deserve a name, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of silly.
There's not a lot going on there.
But yeah, your dad turns into a nuclear bomb and tries to kill the ninja, and then we save Lynn.
Oh man, that's rough. I really hope we don't have to watch Dad blow up again at any point in this run.
Yeah, but dad lives, or the ninja lives somehow though, so. But Lynn's a little less worthless here, so that's good.
Yeah, you can even get into can't runs while Dad is in your party there for a little while too. It's a little bit less common, but it still happens. So
I've had it happen like once or twice. It's pretty demoralizing when it happens.
It's rough, yeah. Fortunately, from this point on, and it's going to be a little while before we get another guest in the party, but where am I going? The next from here on, all of the guests who join our party are not going to make us fail to run anymore. So that's really nice.
Yeah. So this is where the first time of having teleport would be nice. After you get the Magi from Lynn's mom there, you can just teleport back to Guardian's World, so you don't have to make this big long walk back. So it's definitely saves a bunch of time with just here, but there's in each world after this you can use it like minimum like one time, and even if it saves like 20 seconds or 10 seconds, you know, 10 seconds each world adds up real fast.
Yeah, Venus's world is the really big one. Edo World is probably the next biggest one.
Yeah. Just teleporting off of the boat and off of, and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because even if you don't like save a bunch of time, it just eliminates the chance of getting into fights, so you don't have the fights pretty much.
Yeah. But yeah, the sewers is the one that feels the best to use. Teleport to leave.
Agreed. So we found out that actually your dad wasn't just hanging out with Lynn's mom. Lynn's dad was a guardian and died, so your dad was like trying to help them also. So he was just being a good guy. But now we're in Venus's world, which I know for me as a kid, I was stuck in this world for a long, long time.
Yeah, this is I think casually the first world where you are kind of likely to get stuck, because the world has got these big, long, actually pretty difficult dungeons in it, and then the final boss of the world is just such a pain. Venus is just by far the toughest boss that you've run into by now.
Yeah, by far, and the random like things you have to do to advance the story in this world.
Yeah, there's a bunch of random
leave the
plot
first
triggers.
town. You can't leave the first town until you talk to Venus. So you could just be walking around looking how to leave. And then you can't go into the first dungeon until you talk to Leon here. And he tells you he got kicked out of the town because he broke his leg.
Yeah, he likes it outside of Venus's city actually better, but now Flora's inside the city and he's outside the city, so...
So these werewolves that I'm running into, they have a chance to surprise attack you, but because I have warning twice, I cannot get surprise attacked in this world.
Yeah, the werewolves are really common on the overworld, and they can also show up in the sewers, not quite as commonly, but they're here. And then there's two monsters in the volcano that we'll go into next that also have surprise, the serpent and the pea flower. So there's just so many monsters that can back attack you in Venus's world. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, and I feel like they're like a common enemy too. Like they're always there.
Yeah.
So this mini boss is Hermit. If we ran into it earlier, or if we got a meat drop earlier, we would have to farm a meat drop off of this Hermit. Which it's fine. It's an easy fight, and it's always there, which is nice, but if it decides to use Shell, it'll just act as a shield, and your laser sword will just bounce off it, just wasting time.
Yeah, it's so annoying that happens. I had a fight, I think it was last night in a practice, and it used Shell, and then the second turn my robot missed, and then the third turn it used Shell again. It's just like, oh my god, how long is this going to go on?
And then Hermit. This is also the first world and only world in this game that has two mimics.
Yes, yeah, monster in the box. That's why we're ignoring those chests in the bottom right of those rooms in the sewer. Because they are bad news. You do not want to accidentally open those up.
Yeah, especially where we are. And it stinks because there's nothing even in them. Like, I'm surprised they don't even have an item in it. It's just a monster.
Yeah, it's just an unrunnable, very powerful monster fight.
I think it's like 1 or 2 worlds ahead, but
yeah.
It just feels like way farther ahead, especially for where we are with our lack of equipment and everything.
Yeah, it's a pretty brutal one.
But again, if we had teleport, so after we get all the magi, we would just teleport back to Venus's world, or town, instead of having to actually walk our way out of the sewers here.
Yeah, you'd literally save like 2 minutes right there. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But
and it's not so much the walk, it's the battles, because even the battles, even if you're running from them, it takes, a second to transition in, a second to transition out, 2 or 3 seconds to run. So it's like, having all of those battles while walking, it just saves time.
Yeah, exactly.
But we can walk through this wall here when we leave the sewer, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, I like that tile. For whatever reason, you can just go straight left from that last door. It's pretty nice.
So the next trigger that you have to do is you have to talk to Flora for the volcano to appear. Because if you don't, it just doesn't appear, and there's nowhere left to go, really.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty funny world because at the very beginning, you go and talk to Venus, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you, because you defeated Ashura, who's very ugly, so you can hang out in my world." And then she's like, "I don't think you're gonna find any magi here, though." And then if you use your prism magi that your dad gave you at the very beginning of the game, that tells you how many magi are in each world, you use it, and there's like 17 magi here,
yeah.
And you're just like, "What? There's so many." And, you like find some in the sewers. If you talk to Venus after that, she's like, "You found magi in the sewers? That's weird." Like, but
Yeah, when we left the sewer, we went out the door into Venus's castle. You saw. If you try to enter it that way, it says like "dump, do not enter" or something simple like that. But if you try to enter it the other way too, and you didn't talk to Leon first, I think it says same thing. It says like garbage or sewers, you do not enter. So you have to do these things to progress with this area.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're here in the volcano. This is like one of the longest dungeons in the game, actually. It goes on for quite a while, and you can see Leon from the village is very sneakily following us.
Yeah, I don't know how he makes his way through this volcano, to be fair.
Yeah, it's surprising he can survive the lava and the monsters all by himself, but there he is.
Yeah, especially that one floor that I'm on now, where it's just all lava.
But yeah, his idea is he's gonna follow us, and he's gonna take one of the magi that we find in here, so he can confront Venus and ideally take Flora out of the city. It's not gonna go very well for him, but he's gonna try.
Hey, that's all we can ask. He's trying.
Yeah.
But yeah, the big enemies in here that you definitely want to try to avoid. Obviously, if you get surprise attacked, you can't do anything about it. But the magicians, because since they hit with a magic-based ability, your robot has no chance to block it or dodge it. So there is a chance to die. And then I think there's I don't remember what the heck they're called in this, like the little floating eye, the mech things.
Mm-hmm.
I think they throw grenades, which again, your robot cannot dodge them. So
yeah, grenades are a non-elemental attack that just does a bunch of damage. It's what I used as a kid to beat Venus. When I would play this game, I would go buy a bunch of grenades and throw them at her.
I would use muskets to kill her. Yeah, I feel like Venus as the first casual playthrough, she's the first holy crap, this is what happened if this game's difficulty.
Yeah, all of a sudden a bunch of your spells don't do any damage, and she is able to basically take out your characters in one shot with her whip, or her flame spell is very powerful. She's rough.
Yeah, and I think this is like, so this is the only major boss that we've had before this was Ashura, and you have Mass with you. So this battle, you don't have like a companion to help you, like
Right.
if you are under leveled or anything. So it makes it a little harder because if you haven't been leveling your monster, let's say, or you've been running from everything, so you didn't eat any meat, so you have like a level 2 monster or whatever, like it makes it a lot harder to be unprepared for this fight.
Yeah, definitely. The game's not holding your hand anymore. It's definitely letting you go.
Oh yeah, I always think it's nice too that Leon, the Magi he takes off of you is the Power Magi too, so it ends up being fitting. I don't know if it's on purpose or not.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense that he would try to use that one to overpower Venus. But she's got more than one Magi, that's for sure.
She does. So yeah, her whole story is you have to be beautiful to be in her town. So Leon broke his leg, so he wasn't beautiful anymore, so she kicked him out of her town. So the other town, which I think is called Dirty Town,
Yeah.
is just where everyone that's not beautiful gets kicked out to. But since she loves Flora, or he loves Flora, he tries to attack Venus with a knife and Magi to save Flora. And then she just kind of smacks him away.
Yeah, she just kind of laughs and takes him out immediately. Probably wasn't the best plan.
And then Flora decides to cut herself with the knife to make herself not beautiful, so she has to kick her out of the town.
Yeah, it's all a little bit too much for us to deal with, so it's finally time for us to take matters into our own hands, as we always do.
The fight 90% of the time is fine, but things can happen, so...
Yeah, they definitely can. The biggest thing that can happen is Venus uses the flame spell twice.
Yeah.
And that just kills your party. It's... like, it kind of makes sense to use one X cure to heal your robot up after walking through all that lava, taking all that lava damage. That'll help you survive one flame spell, but two, there's just not much to do about it.
But the nice thing is with, I got Explode. I don't know if I can actually use that on anything.
I've thought about it, and I haven't found a use case for it. It's kind of a cool ability, but the bosses don't care about it.
Yeah. I wonder, can you use it on the enemies with Odin?
Ooh, that's an interesting thought. I don't know. Yeah. Why
We'll
don't you
find
try
out,
it out?
maybe.
Let me know.
But so yeah, you kill her, and save the world, and just like everything else. So far we've, knock on wood, have been pretty lucky with the boss battles and everything, but
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad for either of us. We're still on actually a really nice pace. Both of us are.
but then this is where everything had changed, so
That's right. Welcome to RNG.
the beginning of it.
Yeah, this is my favorite world in the game, honestly. I love the dragon race.
I used to always take the slowest one when I was a kid.
It's great, because then you only have to fight the last boss, because
Yeah.
the other racers have taken out the other three. Here in the speedrun, Toorima and I think are both taking the second fastest dragon, which allows us to skip the first mini-boss. The second one actually doesn't have a boss flag, so we can run from it, which is really nice. But we do have to fight the third and fourth ones.
I've thought of trying to get the fastest one, but it just, it's not worth it.
No, that first fight sucks. It's really
Yeah.
bad.
And you can't run from it or anything, so...
It's really nice to just skip it, grab the second fastest dragon.
Yeah, we're zooming in here, so... but you will see us, I mean, hopefully not too many times, but we will reset. We want to see, at least for the Lamia, one, maybe two.
Yeah.
To just get through that fight. But then we have to fight the Watcher, and then the Watcher is... A, we need to be able to beat it, and then B, we need to be able to get a meat drop from it, so...
Ooh, I made it pretty far without any back attacks, actually. I made it all the way almost to the Watcher fight. Didn't get any in Venus's world somehow.
Wow, that's incredible.
It was, yeah, really lucky. But yeah, here we are at the Watcher, so good luck.
Thanks, you too.
Yeah, so it's basically it's a 25% chance for it to drop meat, so... And we need it.
I got the lamia meat. I used Explode on it.
Nice.
Yeah, but we'll reset if we have like a battle of 3 or 4. Like, we don't even try if it's 3 or 4. Yeah. Depending who the person is, you might try if it's 1 or 2. Well, you'll always try for 1, but some people might try with 2.
Yeah, I think 2's worth it. It's usually fine. And it's hard to grind out a 1. Sometimes you're resetting forever. Yep, 0 for 2 so far.
I got a 1 my first attempt and I got excited, but it didn't drop any meat.
And that's 3.
Hey, I got it.
Oh, you got it? Alright.
Yeah.
I'm fighting my
Second
4th
try.
one now.
So sometimes it happens in the Switch version, in the Steam version, an exclamation point will just appear, and you don't cross the finish line, so you have to like back out and cross it again. So that happened to me. It loses like a second, but so once you get the Watcher, even if you don't have warning, the Watcher has warning, so you can no longer be surprise attacked.
Yeah, at this point it doesn't matter anymore. Nothing else can back attack us for the rest of the run.
So even though I got it second try, all of the bosses in the rest of the game can just kill you if they want to, pretty much, and the last boss can definitely just kill you, or the 2 mini bosses before the last boss, it's the same thing as the Watcher. Like, it's a stagnant boss, but you can fight 1 to 4 of them, and you just can't win if you fight 3 or 4, so you have to hope to get 1, maybe 2, so...
Yeah, the nice thing about Tianlong, which is the last meat drop that we need, is it does drop meat 100% of the time, so at least we don't have that to deal with.
This is true.
Whew. We are not getting meat.
I was gonna say, was that a good woo or a bad woo?
Oh, it's all bad, yeah.
Oh, man. So, even though I got it second try and I'm technically ahead, it doesn't mean anything, like I said, with this run, because I could be ahead by a couple minutes, but if I don't get first try, you know, stone gaze, and you do, all of a sudden, you're, like, right there.
Yeah, there's definitely time to make it up. But this is... When you get unlucky like this, it's definitely a place where you can just lose a bunch of time and not a lot to do about it.
Ooh, man, I was actually really close. I got a fire gun drop from the commando.
Oh yeah, that's great.
I had 33,000, so I was close to getting a laser gun too.
Nice. Yeah, close.
So this world kind of like Venus's world. Tons of just back and forth traveling. You have to talk to people in certain order, and I was definitely stuck here for a long time as a kid as well.
Yeah, this is a pretty tough world for sure.
So you have to fight the Hamatos on the bridge first. And then you have to talk to Hannah, then you have to go talk to Ichigoya, and then you can go into the next dungeon, but you have to do those things first, because if you don't, the dungeon's on a boat, and the boat's just not there. But you also have to talk to Ichigoya behind the desk that he works at. If you try to talk to him in front, he's just a shop.
Yeah, confronting shopkeepers is a thing we like to do in this game.
Oh yeah, that is true. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, you have only if you talk to shopkeepers from the side does something happen.
That's right. Yeah, so I think that was like
yeah,
a 10th or 11th try meat drop for me, so not great.
Yeah, not great, but again, Arsenal can decide it just wants to kill me.
Yes, it can. Yeah, for sure. This game is not decided till the very end of the final boss.
Yeah, which is, it's a pretty easy run overall, but with the amount of RNG areas in the game, it makes it very hard to get like a good consistent time. But yeah, as people were saying in chat that I see there is, yeah, this is where we find out that what they have been smuggling into this world. So I believe this is like the Edo period, and I believe the original version they were smuggling opioids, I think it said.
Yeah.
But opioids is definitely way too harsh for the American audience.
We can't handle that here. No. I'd like to pretend that drugs do not exist, actually. So please don't put them in my video game.
So naturally, it went from opium to bananas. So they are smuggling bananas in this world.
It's so good. As a kid, I was just like, so, like, even as a kid, it felt weird. Like, what? Why is it bananas?
Yeah, because it's such a serious world. Like, the whole tone is serious in here, and they're just like, yeah, they're smuggling bananas.
Yeah.
I actually also got surprised on one of my fights, so I have to... That surprise is nice, but it's also not the best because you have, like, that,
little extra text every fight when you get it. And you don't need it when you're gonna automatically run anyway, but it is nice for certain fights if you get surprise attacks. You can surprise attack bosses in this game when you have it.
Yeah. So, I hope that doesn't mess me up. I accidentally equipped the tank on the robot.
Oh.
So then I unequipped it, so I only have 5 tank uses for my mutant.
It's probably not a huge deal, but
it's less than ideal, I think.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we were talking about at the beginning, is like some of the worst things that can happen are just those tiny menu things, because there's often not a lot of going back. One thing that happens with the robot is when you equip something on the robot, the number of uses on the item becomes half, because the robot could technically recharge it when it takes an in, so that's kind of how they do that. But it also, when you unequip it from the robot, it loses half again. So tank goes from 20 to 5 if you equip it and unequip it.
I know I need it for sure for Odin, and I guess that's technically it. I can get away with everything else.
Yeah, it can be helpful for a couple other things, but unfortunately you're not really counting on it to deal that much damage, and honestly, even for Odin, sometimes your human just gets
I use that in the beam to kill the Sleipnirs.
Yeah, totally. It's just that sometimes, often that character's dead anyway.
Yeah, this is true. Questing for Glory dies a lot in this game.
They're in the front. They don't have armor. It's not easy to be questing for Glory in this party.
Yeah, the front character is just cannon fodder for the most part.
That's for sure.
Oh, I forgot to do it. So when you talk to Hannah here after you try to get Ichigoi arrested, since the game automatically moves after that, if you talk to her from different sides, your character automatically moves like you talk to her from below. So sometimes you'll be like on top of the bed instead of next to the bed if you talk to her from the side or the top. It's just fun to do, like just to show the silly things this game does.
Yeah, it is pretty funny.
But the other thing I equipped, we equipped the Aegis Magi that we got off of Venus. So the Aegis Magi is very, very broken in this game. It protects the character that uses it from physical attacks, and then once you actually use it in the battle, your whole party is protected from elemental attacks, I believe.
Yeah, all elemental attacks are completely nullified, and then they'll also take half damage from physical attacks. It's so nice. Like, the Aegis Magi, everyone who plays the game casually knows this, but it's just like, it's so helpful to survive some of these tough fights. And technically that's what Venus had, and that's part of why she's so hard to beat casually.
But yeah, because if your character starts with flame or anything like that, like, you can't use anything on her because she's protected. But fun thing is you can actually stone her.
Yeah, if you happen to have stone gaze.
Because when I tried to map out 4 monsters, I tried to bring a Medusa to Stone Gazer, but their Magi stats just so low that nothing really happens.
Right, that's the problem.
Hey, I lost surprise and gained surprise.
Gotta love when that happens.
So yeah, we fight Ichigoya down below. And you find out that him and the Shogun are working together to smuggle these bananas to make a bunch of money off the people. And then you learn that Taro is actually a guardian as well. And he's like, yo, I didn't know you're a guardian. Or who's your dad? Or you tell him your dad is a guardian. He's like, who's your dad? And you're like, oh, he's the captain. And he's like, oh, how is he? And he's like, he's dead.
He's dead.
And you're like, oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So he joins us to put an end to the Shogun smuggling these, the bananas and to just bring peace to this world.
Yeah, and Taro is a very helpful guest character. He's powerful, he's got good weapons, he's fast enough that we don't fail to run from fights. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Yeah, Taro makes you also realize that the boss is probably going to be hard because they're giving you such a good character.
Yeah, for sure.
So in this world, I definitely got stuck here as a kid going through this dungeon. This dungeon always felt, it's not long, but it felt super long as a kid. Because I guess there's technically like 2 paths in each floor. So once you get towards the top though, you can run into that battle I just did outside the gates. It's flagged as the same battle that's outside of the gates, so it's an unrunnable fight. So if we run into that fight in this, we have to do that fight again. So the hope is that neither one of us run into that same battle formation again.
That's a rough one. You really want to be careful to not be just like autopiloting and try to run from it and then fail, because that's pretty painful.
Yeah. I guess the only nice thing is if you do it, Taro does have a cure book, so you can kind of like revamp your HP back up.
Yeah. Ichigoya dropped an abacus, so shoutouts to Dragon Warrior 4.
Nice abacus drop. That's the only place you can get it in the game, I believe, too.
Yeah, I think so.
So with with the Shogun's palace here, each floor pretty much has 2 ways to go, like left or right. So you just have to go like left, right, to make it to the top. We are skipping a bunch of treasure doing it, but what does the Abacus do? I believe it just does a strength-based attack, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's just a weapon, but I don't think it's anything special. I think it's just kind of a weird weapon that
it's been long. It's been a long time since I've used it. You get like what 3,400 gold for it or something.
Yeah, it's not worth that much. It's worth some. Yeah, I think it's just that they thought it was clever because he's like a merchant, so they gave him that.
It is pretty clever. I like it.
Yeah.
At the top of this palace, we'll eventually get on the roof. There are 2 little like statues you can talk to, and you can fight. What are they called? Dolphins?
Yeah, fight the dolphin. Yeah.
And they don't drop anything that I know of, but I think they're flagged that you can learn any ability from them.
Yeah, which isn't too unusual at this point. Like you can also learn any ability from like those boss fights we fought in the race world, like the Lamia. Like I've learned teleport from Lamia before.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a few up to this point, but those ones are kind of conveniently located, honestly. Although it's not the easiest fight.
Alright, so Shogun, I actually got a surprise attack on him, but he's very easy for how we have our party built. So, but then you find out the real bad guy is his dad. It's Magnate, and he just kills his son, and I always picture him just like grabbing him by the head and like throwing him out the window.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Alright,
Help
so
me.
this is Magnate. So Magnate is, if he wants to kill you, he will kill you, pretty much.
Yeah. This is the first boss that has Tornado.
Yeah, he can use Tornado back to back, which is non-elemental, so even with the Aegis Shield, he can just wipe your party. I'm lucky, and I got surprise on him, so...
Oh, that's good. Good time for it.
Yeah. I mean, but he could still just decide to use Tornado. He decided to kill my first character, which is fine. Because I actually used Flame instead of the tank, because I wanted to make sure I had enough.
Mm-hmm.
So... But yeah, he tried to use Thunder this round, and Thunder, because it's elemental,
That's the gate fight.
nothing happens.
Yeah, so
Alright,
here's
I
that
had a
fight that we
clean
talked
fight,
about,
so
which is
hopefully you have a clean
unrunnable.
fight as well.
Yeah. So just got to be careful and got to fight it. Don't want to try to
Yeah.
run.
Alright, so far, again, knock on wood, I've been having a lucky run. First try Venus, first try Magnate, no tornadoes at all, which is nice, and then
Oh, that is
second
nice.
try Watcher, so...
Yeah, it's all
you
good stuff
did
so
get
far.
the fight, I just realized what you said, that stinks.
Yeah. And it had to take it. It took 2 rounds because they killed my human like immediately. It's fine. It's not that big of a time loss if you handle it correctly, right?
Yeah. So this is the Nasty Dungeon World. It's 1 dungeon, it's 10 floors. There's a ton of awesome treasure in it, but all we need is the Magi, so we walk in, grab the Magi, and just leave.
Yeah.
That fairy at the beginning talks about, like, it's Nasty Dungeon, I wouldn't go in there. And if you choose to go into it, she's waiting at the end. And if you tell her it wasn't that bad, she teleports you back into the 5th floor.
Yep. She's but it's a pretty cool dungeon actually.
Yeah,
Like if you
agreed.
take it casually, it's like big. There's a bunch of cool equipment in there. A bunch of monsters you don't see if you don't take that dungeon.
What monsters are in there that you don't see?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure there are ones that show up in that world and aren't anywhere else.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever realized that.
Yeah. They'll be like the same sprites as other ones, but
Just different names.
yeah, different names.
Yes, if you haven't realized, there's only about like 10 enemies in the game with just multiple different names. It's probably more than 10, but it's not a lot.
Yeah, 15 maybe, something like that. Yeah, they really like to just reuse the same sprite and call it a different monster. It's got 100 more HP. It's got different abilities. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this world, this is Odin's world. If you were to die during the game is very generous, and you actually appear here in Valhalla and talk to Odin, and he's like, hey, you know, like, that's sad that you died, but I can bring you back to life if you promise to fight me one day. So the game has like an internal reset almost.
Yeah, it's actually really nice. And the cool thing about it actually is that after you beat Odin, if you die after that, it's a game over. So
Yeah.
the game is like very consistent about that and progresses the consequences of dying in a battle. It's pretty awesome.
And it's interesting too, because they actually programmed that, so we haven't died this whole time. So when we meet Odin, he doesn't say anything to us, he just fights us. But if you die during the game, he gives you a big speech, kind of like, oh, I knew you'd come back, like, you know, now we can do that fight you promised you would give me, and stuff like that. And then same with afterwards. He doesn't say anything after you fight him if you didn't die, correct?
Yeah, he just immediately dies, gives you magi, and it's over.
Yeah, but if you died during the game and you
Oh, he's
after you
got
defeat
so
him,
much to say.
yeah, he talks forever. So it's a nice touch with like that they added something like that to a game this old, saying like, hey, if you made it here, you know, you don't really know the consequences of who you're fighting and why.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's like, because if you die before you fight him, he'll be like, oh, you want to know why I wanted to fight you one day? I'll tell you after you defeat me. And then after you defeat him, he just has a lot of inspiring thoughts about warriors and Valhalla and how he wants... like, he's just got a lot to say about it. It's really funny.
Yeah, he doesn't stop. That's kind of less than an ideal first round against Odin. Well, we'll figure it out. So, I got Aegis off, which is nice, because Odin likes to use lightning, thunder, and ice. But he also killed my... my Watcher.
Yeah, it's a
So
little
we're just gonna
annoying,
make... Yeah, we'll make it work.
but- Yeah, it might be alright.
Especially because he's being generous with using elemental attacks.
Most important thing is to get that Aegis up, honestly. Makes a big difference.
If you don't get Aegis off, you even if he uses his Guntner Spear like he just did for me, instead of doing it did 500 damage to my human, it would be like 1200 damage.
Yeah, that's the half damage from the Aegis paying off for you. It's so helpful, because the robot can usually survive one direct hit from it. Not quite always, but usually. But if you don't get the Aegis, then it's going to be a one-shot.
Sorry, I just let out a giant sigh because I beat him, but I got Sleipnir meat, so...
Oh, yeah, yep.
There's a glitch in this game that if you get a meat drop, but it has to be the Sleipnir, not the Odin crow, you only get 330 gold instead of 38,000 gold. So now I have to pick up at least one more item to make sure that I have enough money for everything I need.
Yeah,
but other than that, it was a good fight.
Hactical in chat saying it's his fault. Whenever Hactical is around when I'm running this, I always get the Sleipnir meat drop, and I blame it on Hactical.
Okay, well I got it, so you don't have to this time then.
Yeah, I kind of appreciate that. I'm happy to not get it.
Well, that's good.
I'll take my 38,000 gold.
But after the fight, if you use the Aegis, or not the Aegis, the Pegasus Magi that you got from the nasty dungeon, you can just teleport on the other side of the dungeon and don't have to walk out. I don't know who found that out or why, but I love that they did.
It's really nice, yeah. It's a pretty long staircase to kind of walk out of there, so it saves you some time, for sure.
Alright, so this fight should be easy, but if the game doesn't want it to be easy, it won't be easy. So we find Apollo, and we find out that he's the real bad guy.
All along.
Yeah, all along. So we can stone gaze a minion if we're lucky enough. And I did not get it. But I also did get surprise on minions, so... Alright, so I got him that time.
Alright, I did not get the meat. got the money.
Nice.
It's a relief.
So after you defeat minion, Apollo takes all of the magi off you because he has the last one, and he threatens to kill everyone that you've interacted with pretty much if you don't give it to him. But then Dad comes in out of nowhere, and he's like, man, we lied all these years. There's actually a secret hidden magi in the secret dungeon. Or in the final dungeon, I'm sorry, that's what it's called. So then we have to go to the final dungeon with Dad.
Yep. Dad is not only keeping secrets from all of his family, he's also keeping secrets from everybody else.
Yeah. And he's actually really, really good. They definitely buff him up like crazy for this last world. Sorry, the final world, that's what it's actually called. This is final world and final dungeon.
Yeah, final town as well.
Alright, so the big thing is you can equip the companions with you, but once you equip them, you can't take it off. So you have to make sure you put stuff on Dad that you want. So we put the Hectite boot on him. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm probably saying it wrong.
It's Hecate. I was just looking this up because I was like, is it Hecate or Hecate? But it's like a Greek goddess of magic, Hecate.
That makes sense because this game doesn't have like, it doesn't take things from like one mythology. It takes it from like all of the mythologies and somehow smashes it together.
Oh yeah, it's every single place. It's amazing. It's kind of cool though because you look it up and you learn stuff. And
so we put that on Dad to give him 15 more mana, and then we give him a flare book to do some massive damage later.
Yeah, it's really helpful.
I have to pick up this. Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say it's really helpful because we have a bunch of HP that we'll have to take off of Apollo later, and having Dad with a really strong flare spell there is like amazing.
And then I have to pick up the Arthur armor, which I just did because I didn't get the money drop from Odin, so. But yeah, this dungeon as a kid was always kind of freaked me out with the tiny screen of a Game Boy and having these little like looking like mouths that would move on the screen all the time.
The walls have faces.
And then if you don't have warning, which we do with our Watcher, you could definitely run into a group of Watchers slash cockatrices, and you know, as a kid, I would run into like 11 of them between the two of them, and half of my party would get turned to stone. So having the ability to not get surprise attacked is definitely nice.
It's so nice. Yeah, it's really good that that's built into the route following Race World, because it is like a pretty, it creates a lot of stress, especially in Venus's world and Race World, and it's nice to not worry about it after a certain point.
Yeah. So this area, it's very symmetrical, as you could tell. So if you go to the right or left, there's a secret hidden passage that takes you up to get the Excalibur, which, if you're like really messed up on money somehow, you can pick that up and sell as well.
Yeah, Excalibur's a cool weapon when you play the game casually, because it's like the only weapon that doesn't have a limited number of uses. So it's powerful, it's strength-based, but you can use it forever.
Yeah. Alright, so again, this is a very symmetrical long hallway, so naturally there's going to be something at the end of it.
Hopefully not some kind of nuclear-powered death robot.
So it's War Mech though, it's not War Mech, so... but again, he is flagged also incorrect. I don't know if it's incorrectly, if they just didn't care. But him and Minion, you can actually stone both of them. You just need to hope that... Oh, I got it first turn, which is nice. But he got to drop a nuclear bomb on me first, so...
You got to have his say as War Mech, that's important.
Yeah. But then we get the last hidden Magi, the Heart Magi, which it's actually super useful, especially in like a marathon settings for just safety. You can equip it to someone, and you can use it in battle. And if you use it in battle, it brings everyone back to life at full HP.
Yeah, it's really helpful that we can kind of like guarantee to be able to survive the Apollo fight, as long as you remember to equip the Heart Magi.
And I'm really short on money, I think, even with getting a couple drops.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. That meat drop is just so impactful.
Oof. Well, it really stinks because I don't have that tank by accident.
Yeah.
Well, we'll figure it out.
My mutant has mini flare. Let's see how much damage it does. Oh, no. Stonegate's first try. I don't get to see. That's too bad. I wanted to see what flare would do with 5 mana.
I actually had flare on my save file, and it was doing like 40 damage to Watcher.
So good.
Man, I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this.
Yeah, you are in a tough spot. I've got a couple other backup items.
I'm buying one tent and a bunch of elixirs.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense for sure.
So ideally there you get 2 tents before the second mini-boss and then before the last boss, but because I lost on so much money, man, I thought I'd be good because I got a couple item drops too, but because I'm so low on money, I'm taking the very, I guess it's safe route, I don't know. The route I have to take, pretty much.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of choice.
And you have to have at least 1 tent, so...
Yeah, you don't want to go in the final boss with not a lot of HP on everyone. That would be
less than ideal.
That would be a mistake.
Alright, so I hope you like to hear the sound of laser guns, and yeah, because we're going to be shooting Apollo with a lot of laser guns. I actually got a surprise attack on him too.
Which is actually bad. That's the one fight where you don't want it.
Doesn't it mess up like his speeches and stuff?
Yeah, because he's not going to... it's going to take another round before you can move on to the next
Yeah, that's
stage.
what I thought.
Yeah, that's like the one fight where surprise is really just kind of not great.
So yeah, for the first 5 rounds, you just hold A, and so he uses the Aegis every round, but because laser guns are non-elemental and flare is also non-elemental, it just damages him. And then, so he talks for 5 rounds as we just damage him. But yeah, that's why I said I hope you like the sound of the laser guns, because it just, I think it sounds cool, but hearing it for 5 straight rounds is a little,
it's a lot of laser. And the beam, of course, is also just a laser, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that's cool about this fight is the other way to beat Apollo, instead of going through his HP pool, is to wait, like, I don't remember if it's like 10 or 11 turns, and then he'll start melting. So as a kid, I would just get a bunch of heal staffs and then wait it out. That was my way to get through Apollo.
So if you want to, I've actually seen, I assume they game sharked it, but they had 4 robots with Guntners and strength based, and they did enough damage to him to actually kill him before he left his first phase.
That's awesome.
So yeah, once you do enough damage, you can just try to run, and then he melts and blows up, and then your dad will protect you. Spoilers, dad dies again.
Man, maybe this is the time Dad really dies, huh?
For sure. Well, we used the Magi, even though he told us not to. So in this version, they didn't change her name, I forgot. So this is Isis, is on our team now. So this is why we buy all the elixirs and everything. Oh yeah, I also like that when you beat Apollo, it's like, Dad fell right on.
Dad fell right on. Yeah. That's it.
So we got a bunch of elixirs because we cannot run from battles in this last area. And we're just going to be spamming Flare with Isis to murder everything. And hopefully not use our muscle memory to try to run.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful. You run from everything in the game, basically, until here, and then no longer.
Yeah, so we'll definitely be keeping an eye on how many flares we have left, so...
Yeah, this part of the run takes a lot of concentration, honestly, because you don't want to make a small mistake. It can be pretty painful.
Well, especially because you only have limited heals because of what you can buy. So all of a sudden, if your whole party has like 1 HP and you're fighting the mini-bosses later, it's like, oh man. But this is also where your human/mutants gain a decent amount of HP because you're so under-leveled at this point that every battle you're going to be getting something usually.
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty nice. It was definitely a place where I did a lot of like grinding up as a kid to get through the final boss.
Oh yeah, the demo load is also now Demon Lord in the this version.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, it's DEMN Lord, but it's not demo load anymore.
Yeah, I always liked demo load. It's one of my favorite monster names.
So you'll run into them. I don't remember what I haven't run into it yet, but the terrorists after Apollo are the SS on your version, right?
Yep.
I don't remember what they changed. I have to run into one. But yeah, at this point in the game, we pretty much just spam Flare and watch Isis just kill everything in almost one shot.
Yeah, just take care of Isis. We do still have quite a bit of RNG with these boss fights coming up, though.
Yeah, I've lost runs. I've been on like world record pace, and then these mini bosses it's the same thing as Watcher. You can fight 1, maybe 2, and you have to have your monster alive at the end of the fight, and just sometimes the game's just like, nope, not today.
Yep.
Because they also have Tornado and since their stats are so high, they're doing like 600-700 damage to your characters.
There's just no way to ever survive 2 tornadoes.
I think even Isis dies if I remember correctly.
Yep. Yeah, sometimes her recovery will get her so she can survive it between turns if it doesn't happen on the same turn, but I mean, it's just so much damage.
So another bad thing that can happen here, which almost happened to me, is if you're moving on those automatic stairs and you don't get to use any elixir, you'll have to like slog your way through a fight without using a flare.
Yeah, it's a bad feeling.
So I got in a fight with one, but it used tornado and it killed
Your monster.
Killed my monster.
Yeah. Yeah, Tianlong, it's pretty rough, honestly. It's like the run does not get easier.
My monster didn't have full HP.
Sure.
Yeah, but the nice thing, like you said, both these mini bosses they automatically drop their meat, so.
Yeah, one fewer thing to worry about at least. Otherwise, it would be. I think that would be the thing we'd complain about like the most.
Oof, I couldn't even imagine that. So when we get the meat drop, we get, as you see, we get a butterfly. We get Madam. Madam Butterfly is used because her agility is crazy high. She still has warning, and she also has touch. And with touch, you drain HP from the enemy you deal. She has absorb. She has absorb. So when you deal damage, you drain the damage or drain the HP as well. So it gives your character a chance to heal after battle or heal during battle. So it helps with the last boss for sure. Sorry, I just ran into the SS, and in this version under the SF, so maybe like Special Forces.
Yeah, just needed to change it just a little bit.
Just enough.
Just enough.
Oh.
Alright, tornado hurt, but my monster survived it.
Perfect. Ooh, I almost just tried to run from this fight.
Ugh, it's so easy to do that. You've been running from everything for an hour and a half, and then...
Yeah. So then we have one more mini-boss, and then we have the final walk to the boss. The last boss after that, and then time is whenever we see, like, Arsenal defeated or eliminated or whatever.
Yeah, Arsenal fell on this version, I don't know if it's different.
Yeah, but there's not much going on here, just kind of making sure you're keeping an eye on how many flares you have, trying to make your way downtown, and that's it.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, it's pretty intense from the speedrun standpoint, because you just really need to try to not make any mistakes. It's actually my favorite part of the run. It's like really intense, you just take a lot of focus, but it feels good.
Yeah. So here's a question for you. If you run into Haniwa, are you going to fight it, or are you going to run?
Oh, I'm gonna run.
Okay.
I will
I didn't
take
know if you wanted
advantage
to say we would fight it or not.
I'm gonna take advantage of my run flag.
Okay. So there's a super optional boss that randomly appears on the bottom floor. But yeah, with on this last like little section after Apollo, that's why we buy all the tents and the elixirs, is just to keep Isis well supplied, to just use flare consistently every turn, no matter what, pretty much. Then this is also one of the enemies we don't want to see, is the Mushishis or whatever.
Oh, the Musashi, yeah.
Yeah,
2,000 HP.
They have more than enough HP to survive flare, so.
Oof, man, this fight that I have without flare is just like the worst formation to try to get through.
Yeah, and when you accidentally mess up with not having flare, it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, here.
But it's got into another fight with 3 of those nerds, so. Oh, you're back, by the way.
Oh, good. Hi, everyone. I got distracted figuring out what the stream was, and I forgot to refill my flare cast, so I've been in this one random encounter for like 2 minutes. Which is rough, but it happens. The thing about this fight is there's that cancer in the middle, and it keeps splitting, and so it keeps regenerating and staying ahead of my damage, which is super annoying.
Alright, you know what we should do? Are you close to Arsenal?
I'll be there in a few more fights, yeah, I'm like in that screen.
Do you want me to wait for you and we'll both go into Arsenal at the same time just to show how random the fight is?
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm like pretty close, I'll be there in a very short while. Yeah. Oh, maybe just... item. There we go. Okay.
We'll make the true RNG of the run decide who closes it out.
Yeah, Arsenal is oh my gosh, there's so much randomness. Yeah, maybe you can introduce the fight while I take the next like 20-ish seconds to get up there.
Sure. So Arsenal has 3 phases. Well, first off, there's 2 of them. So Isis fights one while you fight the other one. The first phase, it shoots 4 laser beams out of it, and each laser beam has 1,000 HP. Right. There's no overflow on damage, I believe. So once you hit 1,000, then it does damage to the next one. And then once you do 4,000 damage, it goes to the second phase, which is the small smasher stage. Once it does that, it will do a single target attack that half of your party can dodge, and it doesn't do a ton of damage. And then so you heal up and fight your way through that phase, and then it gets to the third phase, which is the phase that every runner loves at this game. It's the big smasher stage. It hits all of your party members from, is it 63 to 639 damage?
Yep, that's the range.
So it's a huge range, and there's it doesn't matter if you have armor or nothing. It's just completely random how much damage you take. And also its agility is incredibly high, so sometimes your robot misses, sometimes your monster misses, and then sometimes it'll end the turn with Arsenal, and then it'll start the next turn. So even if you have full HP, if it hits you with 2 high damage rolls, you're just dead.
Yeah.
Does that about cover it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You ready to go?
The second, third phase have a combined 10,000 HP.
Yeah, that was. I thought it was like you go from one to the next, but yeah, they just share a 10,000 HP pool, it turns out.
All right, I'll press A whenever you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it. Count us down.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Thanks, you too.
This will be our very last battle, hopefully.
Yeah. So you want, hopefully you get a good roll on your what's using, like what abilities you're using at what time. So ideally you want like your robot can hit and do 1,000 damage and hopefully take out 1 laser fully. But it stinks because sometimes you'll hit it with the cat claw and it'll do like just under 1,000 damage.
Yeah, and then...
But then it also stinks because if you back that up with using touch from the Madam, then it's like, ugh, you just wasted 600 damage.
Totally, yeah. It's so easy to have that happen in Phase 1 here. It's really common, though.
So on Phase 2, I personally heal my robot back to full HP with the butterfly.
Oh, 100%, yeah, I do too.
And then you just hold A with the laser guns, the touch, and the cat claw. And sometimes you get super lucky and Arsenal will hit no one, so you get a couple extra damage with laser guns and tanks from the first two. And sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll push it over the threshold. Is it 5,000?
Yeah, 5,000, halfway through the
So
HP
I got unlucky and I did it in the middle of a round.
Yeah.
But sometimes you'll get really lucky and it'll attack you, and then you'll hit it, which will push it over. Which will push it over after it already went. And then so you can get a couple extra damage. I actually got incredibly lucky, and my Madam survived 2 smashers back to back. But then I just missed a touch. So
Whew, my robot died so fast. Took a 639 on the first hit.
oof.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is pretty much just like luck at this turn. But yeah, time will be when it says Arsenal fell. Hopefully.
Yeah, if Arsenal falls. Oof, back-to-backs, this is not good.
That's the worst. Like, or if you're like, oh, cool, I didn't get back-to-backs, but then you get a miss.
Okay, I got it.
So my last touch, I only absorbed 28 HP, so that means it went to its last round with 28 HP left.
That's really bad luck. Yeah, 28 HP, Arsenal fell. That's funny. All right. Hey, GG, nice. That was a great race.
Nice run. So we used to have time as when you actually, so after Isis is like, hey, I'll fix the world, and you know, tell your kids about me one day, 1,000 years of sleep and stuff like that. And it used to be, so this was all we used to time it off of like the Japanese RTA. So this would all count as time until you talk to Dad here. Actually, it would be until it says the end. So like, you wouldn't want to accidentally talk to Isis twice and then mess up talking to Dad or anything like that. But I fought to, I know other people did too, but I definitely fought just like when Arsenal dies, like just take the stress off. Like, why are you making us like have to do these extra steps and stuff?
Yeah, last input makes some sense, but yeah, I mean, Arsenal is like such a climax. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, we I felt like we both got incredibly lucky. It was a really good run by both of us.
Yeah, it was like
really
a 145 for both of us, and we kind of hung out for a sec before Arsenal too. So
yeah, and you didn't have flair for that one fight, so
oh yeah, whew.
Yeah, it's a good time. So yeah, it's
great.
a pretty easy game. It's not as active as it used to be, but yeah, the Discord's very welcoming. Anyone that wants to run the game, we try to help as much as possible. Now that they re-released it on Steam and Switch, it's a lot more accessible than it used to be too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for anyone who wants to learn this, and this is just a great little speed run to learn for sure. Cool RPG speed run. Toorima has a great like tutorial video. I've got some really pretty thorough notes. So there's some good resources if you want to learn the run. Yeah, and just would encourage anyone who wants to too, because it's just a fun game. It's a fun speed run.
Yeah. I don't think I got anything else.
Yeah, just want to, say thanks RPG Limit Break channel.
For having us.
Thanks Question from Glory. Appreciate you all, and yeah, everyone enjoy the rest of the marathon.
Yeah, and I guess I'll see you guys at AGDQ if anyone's going.
Oh yeah. Toorima is going to be running the any percent category of this game in AGDQ, which is awesome. It's the first time.
Yeah. Lots of glitches and stuff to break the game, so it'll be fun.
Yeah. Final Fantasy Legend 2 finally in GDQ. Really exciting, so it's gonna be awesome.
We just need to get Puexo on there with 1 and 3 next, I guess. that's all I got. Thank you very much.
Yep, see y'all.